Imagine this. You're in the middle of a heated argument. Your pulse is racing. Every word feels like a weapon. Every sentence a carefully crafted attack. You're determined to prove your point, to win. But the person across from you, they feel the exact same way. Neither of you is listening, just waiting for a chance to strike back. Then, a whisper cuts through the chaos. You've already lost? What does that even mean? You're standing your ground, defending yourself. How could that be a loss? Because, according to one of history's most provocative thinkers, Friedrich Nietzsche, the moment you get pulled into this kind of battle, you've already surrendered your power. True dominance, he argued, isn't found in fighting to be right. It comes from something far more unexpected. So, what is this hidden power? And why is silence often more powerful than the loudest voice in the room? Let's unravel Nietzsche's philosophy and discover the secret trick that shifts power in your favor. Why do people argue? Most people assume arguments are about finding the truth, but Nietzsche saw them differently. Arguments, he believed, are rarely about facts. They're about power. And those who argue emotionally are already controlled. So why do people argue in the first place? Ego protection. Being wrong feels like losing a part of ourselves. Our minds resist it at all costs. Power struggles. Arguments aren't always about logic. They're about control. Who gets the last word? Who dictates the conversation? Social validation. Many people argue not because they care about the topic, but because they want to be seen as smart, confident, or dominant. Nietzsche saw these behaviors as signs of weakness. The more reactive you are, the more control you give away. His solution? Master the art of strategic silence. Nietzsche's idea of the Übermensch, or Superman, is someone who transcends the limitations of ordinary thinking. The Übermensch doesn't react emotionally like the average person. He doesn't waste energy arguing just to be right. Instead, he knows when to engage and when to remain silent. Imagine a meeting with two conflicting voices. One person is loud, aggressive, trying to prove their point. The other remains calm, collected. They don't get dragged into petty debates, and when they finally speak, their words shift the entire conversation. Who truly holds the power? Nietzsche would say it's the one in control, not of the argument, but of themselves. Now, question arises, why silence wins battles? Silence isn't just the absence of words, it's a tool, a weapon, a force that can control entire conversations without saying a thing. Here's why. It makes others reveal themselves. When you stay silent, the other person fills the void. They talk more, exposing their insecurities and weaknesses. It creates uncertainty. People expect a reaction. When they don't get one, they start second-guessing themselves. It increases psychological pressure. Silence creates tension, and tension makes people uncomfortable. The more uncomfortable they are, the more power you have. History is full of figures who mastered this principle. People who understood that power isn't about shouting the loudest, but about controlling the battlefield before the first word is even spoken. Some of the greatest minds in history didn't waste words. They used silence to their advantage. Socrates, winning without fighting. Socrates never engaged in emotional debates. Instead of arguing, he simply asked questions, leading his opponents to contradict themselves. He didn't tell people they were wrong. He made them realize it on their own. Steve Jobs, the art of controlled conflict. Steve Jobs didn't argue for the sake of it. He used debate as a tool, guiding people toward his vision without forcing it on them. He didn't just convince others, he made them believe it was their idea all along. Miyamoto Musashi, the silent samurai. The undefeated samurai Musashi won over 60 duels, not just with his sword, but with his mind. In one famous duel, he intentionally arrived late, enraging his opponent. When the fight finally began, his enemy was so blinded by anger that he made mistakes, allowing Musashi to win effortlessly. Control your enemy's emotions, and you control the outcome. Modern psychology confirms what Nietzsche understood long ago. The most persuasive people aren't the ones who talk the most, but the ones who control the flow of conversation. First, people trust calmness. Those who remain composed in arguments are seen as more confident and credible. cognitive biases. Make arguments useless. When challenged, people don't change their minds. They double down on their beliefs. Instead of arguing, let them question themselves. Emotional control is true power. The one who can remain unaffected dictates the entire interaction. When someone insults you and you react, you've lost. When someone challenges you and you feel the need to defend yourself, you've lost. But if you stay composed, if you choose your words carefully, or say nothing at all, you've already won. Nietzsche never advocated for passivity. He didn't believe in avoiding conflict altogether. True power isn't in silence alone. It's in knowing when to speak and when to hold back. Speak when. The argument sharpens your thinking. It challenges others to grow. It shifts the balance of power in your favor. Stay silent when. The argument is driven by ego, not truth. The other person isn't open to change. Your silence itself is a strategic move. The most powerful people in history didn't avoid arguments. They mastered them. They knew that words are currency, and the more carelessly you spend them, the less valuable they become. So the next time you feel the urge to argue, pause, observe, let the other person reveal themselves. And when you finally speak, make sure every word counts. Because true power isn't in what you say, it's in what you choose not to say.